Once upon a time, in a field filled with tall grass lived a little girl named Mary. She lived in a small house near her father's farm. She liked to come out into the fields and play with the animals. Mary loved playing with the animals more than playing with her dolls. She thought the dolls were boring, but the animals were full of surprises. One day, while she was playing by the pond, she noticed something strange in the water. It looked like a white feather floating on the surface of the water. But when she bent down to pick it up, it suddenly vanished. This happened again a few days later, and Mary became very curious. She wondered, what was that? Who was playing tricks on her? And who was leaving the feathers? One afternoon, Mary went to the pond to catch whatever was floating on the water. She wanted to get to the bottom of this mystery. Just then, she saw a goose swimming in the pond. It was flapping its wings frantically, trying to free itself from a net. Without thinking twice, Mary jumped into the water and helped the goose. As soon as the goose was free, it shook itself and flew away. Mary didn't think much of it. After all, she had saved the goose's life and sent it on its merry way. A few minutes later, Mary heard loud footsteps and a voice shouting, "Thank you. You saved Gertrude. I can't thank you enough." The person who ran up to Mary was an old woman dressed like a witch. Her clothes were made out of leaves and twigs, and a pointy hat sat on her head. She held a magic wand in her wrinkled hand. Startled, Mary could only nod her head. In response, the old woman handed Mary a leaf wrapped in a leather pouch. When Mary unwrapped the leaf, she found a ring inside. It looked beautiful, crafted from pure silver and decorated with little stones that sparkled like stars. The old woman smiled mysteriously and said, "This ring is a token of my gratitude for saving Gertrude. You may not know this, but I am the guardian of this land. All these animals are my children, and I live deep within the forest. Remember, this ring holds great powers and can protect you whenever you need it." Mary was thrilled. She couldn't believe she had met a real-life witch, and having a magical ring made her feel like a princess. Meanwhile, deep in the dark forest, the great horned owl was holding an emergency meeting with the animals. He was troubled and told them that something evil was happening in the forest. He had no idea what it was, but the animals needed to come together and find out. Suddenly, Red Riding Hood raised her paw and said she knew what was happening. Not long ago, she had been walking through the forest when she saw a witch approaching. The witch was wearing a cloak and pulling a cart full of sleeping animals. She was taking them to her home to turn them into her slaves. Now that the animals knew what was happening, they had to find a way to stop the witch and save the forest. Back at the lake, Mary was telling her family about the mysterious witch and the ring she had given her. They didn't believe her, though. Her mother said she must have gotten lost and imagined the whole thing. Mary was disappointed, but she knew she had seen the witch. She wasn't sure what to do next, but then she remembered the animals. Maybe they could help her defeat the evil witch. Mary ran out of the house and into the forest. She needed to find the animals and ask for their help. Meanwhile, Bluey and Bingo were playing hide and seek with the other animals. Bingo was hiding behind a tree when she heard voices. She peeked around the tree and saw a little girl holding a shiny ring. Mary waved to Bingo and asked if she had seen a witch around. Bingo nodded her head and barked once, then ran off to find Bluey. When Bluey and Bingo found the others, they told them about Mary and the witch. The animals all looked at each other, knowing they had to go and help her. So they all set off to find the witch's house. The animals split up to search in bigger groups. Mary walked with Bluey and Bingo, and the rest went ahead to try and scout out the area. Bingo was suddenly distracted by a butterfly fluttering around. She chased after it and ended up finding some flowers. She brought them back to Mary and Bluey, who thanked her and braided the flowers into her fur. Bingo happily wagged her tail, feeling like the most beautiful dog in the world. Not long after, they heard shouting. They hid behind a bush and saw the other animals running away from the witch. She was waving her magic wand and chanting scary spells. Mary knew she had to do something. She stepped out from behind the bush and shouted, "Stop it! Witch, you can't hurt them." The witch turned around and gasped when she saw Mary, then she started to laugh hysterically. She laughed, "Little girl, you can't possibly stop me. Let's see what magic you have up your sleeve." The witch waved her wand and a huge spider dropped down from the trees. It scurried towards Mary, who was frozen in fear. The spider was big and hairy, and it looked like it wanted to eat her. But just before it could attack, Bingo barked loudly and ran towards it. The spider stopped and stared at Bingo, who then grabbed its leg and pulled it away from Mary. The spider ran off into the woods, leaving Mary and Bingo safe. The witch was furious. She had never been disobeyed before. The witch waved her magic wand. Suddenly, birds began flying in circles, and the wind started to blow strongly. Leaves and sticks flew through the air, and the ground trembled beneath their paws. Mary was scared, but she knew she had to be brave. She held up her magical ring and shouted, "Stop it! That's enough!" The wind stopped. The birds flew away, and the trees went still. The witch was shocked. She didn't know that Mary had a magical ring that could fight back. She had never met someone who could control magic like this before. With a final wave of her wand, she disappeared into the forest. Now that the witch was gone, the animals and Mary were safe. They all cheered and celebrated together. The animals were so grateful to Mary for helping them, and Mary was happy to have made new friends. From that day on, Mary visited the animals often. She played with Bluey and Bingo every day and brought them treats from her house. Together, they had lots of fun. And Mary was glad she had a place where she could escape too, whenever she felt bored or sad.